the Dojo, and we welcome some tenured agents and some newer agents. Today's topic is going to be take the call, and that refers to inbound calls, also known as Wheel of Fortune calls, if you will. Uh, these can be the most unexpected calls. We don't know what they could possibly be about. Sometimes they're existing clients that are calling in and they know us. Sometimes they've called in because they clicked on something online and they thought they were calling another agency or an insurance company or restaurant, and they're calling us, and it doesn't matter how or why they got to us, but they got to us, right? So you kind of just have to expect the unexpected. So some examples of some unexpected calls I've gotten in the past. People have called for those Medicare mattresses. If anybody's gotten those calls, yeah, I've gotten plenty of those. Frank, I'm sure you have. Or calling for the wheelchairs or that free money. They want that free money. That's a real common one. Um, all kinds of stuff, right? Food card, flex card, things like that. Um, and has anybody come across any interesting calls calling for any odd reasons like that? Frank, what are some things you've gotten?
Oh, I mean, I usually get people trying to find a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Get people trying to get an explanation of why they got a bill, thinking that, a lot of them actually don't realize that we didn't sell them that policy.
Mm-hmm.
Not until we tell them. It's just all around the gambit here. A lot of people call in, they're looking for help for their parents or grandparents too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of just trying to get into the conversation.
Right, exactly. Again, it's another reason why it doesn't matter how they got to us. You know what? My famous thing that I say is, you know what? It sounds like it was just a happy accident, and that's okay. Let's see if we can get you some help with that. I can look up whatever you're needing, but let's look into, what kind of supplement or what kind of health insurance do you have, or what's your question, attached to what kind of coverage do you have. I had last week where somebody was calling for their agent, and I've never heard of them. They've never been with us. I said, that's okay. What's your question though? And that turned into a sale. I could have easily said, well, there's nobody here by that name. Try your carrier or something, and turned her away, and not even realizing that, this person they were just looking for somebody to help and listen. And I think people, especially newer agents, are afraid to answer the phone because they don't feel confident in themselves that they'll be able to answer whatever question is shot out at them from the other end of the phone. But really, a lot of times, these people just want somebody who will help or will listen or will try. And that's why you shouldn't just sell yourself short. You should actually try to dig into and see if you can help. And if they hang up on you because they're not what they're looking for, well, that's fine. You took it as far as you could. But 9 times out of 10, they'll be willing to talk to you, and it's always a possible sale for sure. I think sometimes newer agents, they get flustered on calls like that. Really, I think the name of the game is keep your cool. Right. If you don't understand what they're asking you, write it down. You can, one saying I say, which is common, it works well, is that's a really great question. I'll tell you what, I'll look into that for you. And you know what? Bring them right back to the script. Really and truly, it's just getting them to the script so they know who we are and get them educated and get them on the right track to making a good recommendation for them. A tip you can do is while you're having that conversation, message a senior agent, and we can be looking into it in the meantime, right? I think sometimes if you feel like you flub a call, you're like, oh, I screwed that up, and you just kind of call it quits, right? Mike, we had a little example of that, right? But it's okay. You know what?
Right.
Guess what? You're human. You're human. And that happens all the time. You want to kind of give a little bit of info about that?
Call the individual and, calls back. We don't have all the information. So when we don't have all the information, I'm trying to search and not leave too many pause, this long pause while you're trying to research the information, and not putting them on hold, put them on mute, just did everything that you could do wrong. I did. But hindsight, it was great to learn that, because that's when you know, okay, this is where the mistakes were made. And so you kind of learn how to, okay, let's not do that. Ask the questions, ask for the information. This person needs information from you, and you don't know how exactly to extract or where to look just yet. But lesson, we did call. We were setting up a scope of appointment. So this is all coming back. It was a good recovery later, but it had to, definitely had to bring in some coaching, because I was like, oh, I just screwed this call up horribly.
Yeah, I said, no, you didn't. Just have some humility. Admit, you know what?
Yeah.
I totally goofed on when I call you. You know what? Actually, this was already pretty much done. You know, I'm so sorry to confuse you, but let's get it back on track.
Right.
And you did, and he was fine. You know, when you
He was
admit
fine
you're
with that.
human, right?
But I took it harder because I'm like, I want to be the professional. I want to be
Right.
the expert. I want to have that good flow, and especially interacting with, they're calling, and case in point this morning, as y'all guys made, was we're a live person, you know, that they're talking to. And we just showed why we're live, because we're screwed it all up, and I felt bad
You're
about it.
human. You're
Yeah.
human, though, right? Just a tenured agent doesn't mean a professional. Doesn't mean perfection.
Right.
Right. I've been doing this a while. Frank's been doing it a long time. Brad's been doing it forever. There's no such thing as perfection, you
Right.
know, and it's all you just have to have the humility to say, you know, oh gosh, you know what, that was what I told you, that wasn't quite accurate. Let me correct this. Or, you know what, actually, I misunderstood what it was that we were going to talk about. And people are so forgiving of that.
He was extremely nice.
He was. Yeah.
Well, we have to dispel what our notion of an expert or what a professional is, right? I mean, real quick, let's go around the room here. Justice, what do you think a professional or an expert is?
Someone that's able to give you information that's helpful instead of just pulling stuff out of thin air.
Alice, what do you think?
Someone who's just a subject matter expert, an expert in their field.
Allison?
Someone who's made a career of definitely learning everything they can on the topic, and they have proven success.
Tori?
In my opinion, somebody willing to help you and has some general knowledge of the subject.
Mike?
It's a little bit of everything there, but it's like trying to communicate that effectively. You know, that's
Technically, it's somebody that gets paid to do it. Whether they're good at it or not, they're getting paid to do it. So that makes you a professional.
Right. So generally speaking, what you're going to find is that what separates a novice from an expert is the access and availability of information. I don't have to know every answer. I don't have to have everything right away. This is hard stuff. So it's going to take even me time to do it. Imagine how long it's going to take you to do it. So experts don't know everything, and they just don't retain everything. Those are talking heads on TV, and they don't know jack. So what it really is that I have access to the information. I might not know your answer, but I can find it 1,000 times faster than you. So give me a minute. If it takes me 5 minutes, it would have taken you 15 hours. Still, it's going to be that on there. So we have to dispel this notion that we have to have every answer right away.
It's just like doctors, it's practicing medicine. They don't have the answer. Otherwise, we'd all be healthy.
Right. And no one feels worse when they go to a doctor. Doctor just takes a real quick glance at the chart, doesn't even talk to you, and just says, oh yeah, you just need this.
Right.
I don't believe you now.
Yeah.
You're lying to me.
You almost feel more
made it
comfortable when somebody says, you know what, let me do some research into that. I'm like, heck yeah. You know, he really wants to make sure I have, you know, it's the
They're
right
listening
answer.
to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, so whenever you answer, some people, when it comes to answering the phone, I see this and it makes me damn near irate, which is call avoidance. And I see it the same way that people avoid calls when they outbound. I see it when people avoid actually taking the steps in the sales presentation or the process or education system to where they don't ever really have to do an application because they're afraid of doing that. And I also see it when that phone rings. When that phone rings, that is gold. Someone needs help. I can probably make a sale and a friend off of that, even if it's an existing client. I see people avoid answering that phone and it drives me nuts. And what they're really doing is going, I don't want to work on this. I see it. You guys see it. Oh yeah, I'll get it in just a second. Hold on.
And what did I say this morning?
Hold
The
on,
saddest
get
sale
my
you never
script ready.
made. The saddest sale you never made is one where you just avoided the call. The person next to you answered it, and it was the easiest sale that ever was.
I have watched people fill around with stuff on their desk, getting ready to answer that phone for like a full 30 seconds. And then as soon as hello, oh, someone else already got it. I was like, yeah, someone else already got it. Right? So what are we talking about? Are we talking about a skill? Or are we talking about a problem that people have with call avoidance? Are we
Right.
talking about people self-sabotaging?
That's true.
And then it's the same people that'll come back up, leads aren't any good. Well, no, we've actually got a lot of callbacks. You just didn't answer any of them.
Mhm.
And you can see it. You can see it on the call logs. You can see it on the floor. One of the things, you'll see me in that office working on projects, and I'll come back and I'll just see the activity. And I can generally see when people are like, oh, well, that phone's ringing right now. That's one of the reasons we have that board ringing, is that, and you hear it too. You're like, oh, it's annoying. It's always ringing. I go, yeah, you should pick up the phone.
Like, it wouldn't be so annoying if you just pick
That's
it
the
up.
whole point. Because if it's not ringing, I can tell you one day, because every once in a while that thing is disengaged by accident, like this computer resets or something, and we need to re-log in. Look at the activity when that board's not ringing versus when it is. Look at everyone's actions. Look at what's going on. And then also measure the difference in activity between the people that are actually actively engaged in conversations and answering the phone versus the people that aren't picking up the phone. And then see that those people that aren't picking up the phone do not have an increase in activity when it's busy versus their every other day stuff, and they're usually at the bottom of the board.
Mhm.
And I have no sympathy for that because I can't coach or develop ambition.
Well, yeah, it makes me think all the outbound calls we make, giving our phone number on a voicemail, those could be those people calling back.
Right.
I mean, what's all the effort we put in to,
Right. And if somebody calls back asking for you and you're not available, or you just didn't pick up the phone, or you're pretending like you're busy, and the person says, well, that's okay, actually you can help me too. Well, that's theirs to be had, right? And it's just because you were afraid to,
Right.
call avoidance, or you just didn't want to do anything, and now it's somebody else's sale.
Right. And then also it's an opportunity for new folks like yourselves to see who's getting the most callbacks. Maybe that's the person I want to emulate when I do my outbounds. Past couple of days, I hop back on the phone. I think I made 40 or 50 calls one day or yesterday and got 2 sales and 3 callbacks. And then first day on the phone, I was really rusty. So I think I made about 40 calls and got 2 callbacks. I'm really good at leaving messages. Victoria's really good at leaving messages. People think that it's all about closing and stuff. No, it's about getting engaged. Part of that is you cannot just turn your back on the free manna from heaven that is that phone ringing.
Right. These are people that are 100% call rate.
100% contact rate right
Right.
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're
Fishing,
calling
they're
in.
coming to you. The fish are like,
Right.
hey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't get into this business expecting that people are going to be banging down your door to buy something from you. But when they do, answer,
Right. You've done the hard part. Newer people will make about $150 a day as you guys are getting your legs under you and as you get that run rate of people, because sometimes it'll take a week for someone to call you back. Sometimes it'll take 6 calls before they go, and they'll tell, oh yeah, you guys have called me 3 times. Sorry, I've been busy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to be able to do that and progress your voicemails, get your contact rate up.
Mhm.
By the way, if you do that, then they're not going to be hanging up on you anymore because your voicemail and your greeting should be almost identical. And one of the things I've seen on here with calls in, people are afraid of the person on there. General rule of phone sales in life, generally, and anyone that you're talking to, period. No one wants to talk to you, ever. Right?
Mhm.
They need to get something. They need to do something. They don't want to talk to you. You should understand that no one wants to talk to you, but you should comport yourself and conduct yourself as if they need to.
Because they do.
You're helping them.
Right. You should be there. They should be on the phone with you. You should not apologize for anything. Understand that they don't want to be talking to you until they really know and love you, but they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes the dynamic of stuff.
All right, how many times have we gotten a hold of somebody that they've avoided our calls so many times, yet they hadn't done, they're 30 days away from Medicare and they still haven't done anything. Well, they're just avoiding it, but they need you. You know, they absolutely need you. They need you in their life to help them get their crap together and get themselves taken care of, because people will avoid until they do themselves in. They absolutely will. You have to just know that.
Everyone's just so afraid of rejection, right? And the rejection of someone calling in is even 10 times worse because they called in to tell you to go away. Right? And that's the thing you got to get it past. It's you pick up the phone, talk to them. Anyone, what does anyone do here when they call in and say, "Oh, I didn't need your help. I already got it handled"? What do y'all do?
I said, I try to say, well, I think you're a little confused. I'm not here to sell you anything. But if you do have it taken care of, like, you know, do you already have an agent, or, you know, like, what else? You have any questions? But a lot of times they will just kind of like brush you off and be like, no.
Anyone else?
Especially when they say something like that, you go after, let me ask you, if there's a way to save some money, wouldn't that be a benefit for you? Well, yeah. I go, right, everybody would say that. But I said, how about you know, let's do a little comparison real quick and see where we're at. That's it.
That's a good one.
Depending on my mood, I'll either say, "Oh, I'm so glad you called me back to tell you that. What did you end up going with? A supplement, an Advantage plan? Oh, and a supplement? Oh, great. Did you go with the G? Oh, great. You know what? I love the Plan G so much. I signed my own mother up with Plan G last week, and that's how much I believe it. However, one thing that I did with my own mom is I made sure she didn't pay too much. So let's look into here, make sure, you know, I want to give you the mama treatment and make sure you're not paying too much either. So, you know, and then go straight into the script. Or if I'm in a different mood, I might say, especially if they say, "Oh, I've got all taken." How do you know? Do you know for sure? Really? What makes you know that for sure?
Right.
You know, put them on their back foot.
Right. Cool.
I've always had really a lot of success with doing a lot of what Victoria said, actually, because you want to give them adulation that they did a good job, because people like to stay on the phone with people when they're rewarding them. Right?
They're like, "Oh,
Dogs-
shower me
Dogs
with
don't
more
shy away
praise."
from you if you're petting them.
Right.
They're like, cats do that. Cats are bad.
Penny, don't listen to this.
Apathetic roommates.
But no, the issue that you run into is that when you're giving, like, for example, with someone, "Oh, I already got it taken care of." Fantastic. I love hearing that. You have no idea how many people are just not getting this handled, and last minute they're just hitting me all over the place on it. So thank you. And you're like, "Oh, okay." So by the way, so I can update the file. What'd you get? Oh, I got United Healthcare. Is that their Advantage plan or is that their supplement? I start going down the same tree.
Right.
And you're like, "Oh yeah." And then if they got the best thing, I'll tell them they got the best thing.
Right.
But if there's any room for me to improve on it, I'm like, "Oh, well, that's a good company.
Yeah.
Any particular reason you chose that one?" Well, I just signed up for it. The guy said it was the best one. He's like, "Why?" I go, "Well, I mean, I'm not saying you did a bad job or anything. I mean, I just, you know, it tends to be a little expensive. But it's a great company, good plan. I mean, you made a great choice. It's just, they're like, "Well, no, what's going on?" And then they're just asking you for the extra information.
All coy.
Right. Yeah, you got
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
You did a great job. You did a great job. You did better than most people. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just go the exact opposite way. You did great. I wanted to know any particular reason why you went with that one. I mean, it's just, you know, did they go over any of the other options? Because there's a lot. And they're like, "Ooh, what did I do?" Because I'm not trying to sell. "Oh, well, I could have saved you $35 on this." Nope, don't care. Told me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
This one, I'm sitting there going, "Well, maybe that guy was wrong, but you were right with that guy." Right?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. So
Yeah.
no, Victoria's absolutely right. You reward them by saying that they are being proactive, they are helping out, they're going that, or they're lying to you, and then they're gonna have to fess up that they're lying to you.
Yeah, like that lady.
And then they're going to be on the back foot because you're not giving them a sales pitch, and they were expecting you to try to overcome that objection, and we're not going to do that. And then they're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, I had a lady like that with a phone call with Jacob. I was like asking her all these questions. She's like, yeah. And she's telling me, you know, I guess BS really. But then Jacob got on the phone and asked her some pretty specific questions. And she was like, well, and he's like, well, how do you have Medicaid if you don't know?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, or they'll say, "Yeah, I have a supplement and an Advantage plan. I have everything." I'm like,
Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Oh, you drop. I've heard that too, and then get to it. Wait a minute. Who signed you up with a supplement when you have an Advantage plan? That's against the law.
It is.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they go, what? I go, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're on a Title 19 plan and they sign you up with you're on an Advantage plan, they sign you up with a supplement. That's not legal. I mean, are you sure that's what you have?
Mhm.
They're like, oh, let me go check.
Right.
Oh,
Also-
thank God. And then you just walk them through the rest of it.
Yeah. And two, people who are, you can tell they're just turning 65. They go, oh, yeah, I got it all taken care of. Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad. You know what? Actually, I always like to double check because sometimes an agent will only address one piece of this puzzle and they'll just kind of not worry about the others because, they don't get paid much on the other. Let's just make sure, we have filled in all the gaps here. Because before it's too late for you to realize that, and I always throw in there, hey, we want to help you avoid penalties here, and they're like, oh, penalties. I'm like, yeah, they're real, and I want you to not deal with that, right? Because those are irreversible. And then they're like, oh, well, yeah, let's check that. So that's always put some concern. Yeah.
And if you don't want to think about it too much, there's also the old story. You actually saw me do that one day. I transferred that lady to you, which is, well, I'm glad you got everything handled. Now, is there anything else about all of Medicare that you need to ask me while you have me on the phone? It's actually kind of hard to get a hold of me. Anything. Well,
Right.
I need to go ahead and ask you about this. Got you. Okay, let me confirm your information.
An hour later, all the questions are answered.
And you're transferring it over for a sale. That's it.
Right.
But the thing is that you have to answer the phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? We run off a meritocracy here. Ultimately, your performance matters. For the mentorship program, it matters because as you can see, the place is filling up quick. Eventually, the seats become competitive. While you are 1099, you can actually have a place here no matter what. You can work remote. You can do all these other great things. The spots get competitive. The access to the extra technology, extra leads, and things like that get competitive. You have to start developing, right? You can't just rest on your laurels. We love you and we'll always support you. But there's a lot of people that want to come in and learn. And you guys have been doing fantastic, But the thing is that it's easy to fall into that kind of rut. And ask yourself, if you're not answering that phone as soon as it starts ringing, if you're not in a competition to answer it first, where's your head at?
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, if you like to work for free, that's your business.
Well, I mean, or just if you want to come hang out here and not work, because that's really what it is.
I want friends.
Wow. I like friends.
Well, we don't have time for that.
I just love Medicare and hearing people
Yeah.
talk about it all day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here you have the best of both worlds. You have the best of, you're not having to pay for your own leads because it hurts when you're paying for your own leads and
Mhm.
the lead source you pick kind of sucks and people are not answering or they didn't represent the leads as it was. And that's just money out of your own pocket.
Mhm.
That's just too bad. So sad. But then also you're not told what to do with your time and how to structure your own day. You get to decide that for yourself. Because so I mean, if people think, oh well, I'm just going to go off and be an independent agent, better. No, it's actually worse and it's harder and it's tougher.
Well,
it's cold world out there in independent agentville.
I would go out to say so far as that if you're not willing to pick up the phone when it's ringing, don't even bother picking up the phone to make an outbound dial because you're obviously not in the right headspace.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, and there's a common factor. There is a common denominator between successful agents and agents who it didn't work out for them. And it had nothing to do with their knowledge of Medicare or how long they'd been doing it. The common denominator is call avoidance. They didn't want to answer the call for whatever reason, whether they're scared, whether they just, self-sabotage. Their head wasn't in the game. They were up and walking around more than they were actually making dials. Nothing but blaming other factors, other people, the weather, the air conditioner. I don't know what it is, but it is so obvious, the people that
or
didn't make
blaming the
it.
phone ringing too loud.
Right.
That's actually happened here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or the snacks weren't acceptable.
Wait, what'd you say?
The snacks weren't acceptable. I
The
can't.
phone ringing too loud? So someone said they don't want to call because the phone was ringing too loud.
Or they're having trouble because the phone keeps ringing.
They couldn't sit down in their seat because the phone was too loud. They had to walk away. Well, you just walked away from money, honey.
Or
So
you just click that green button and the ringing stops.
yeah, you want it to stop, answer it.
Yeah.
Exactly, like you said. So, but that's ever since I've been here, that has been the common denominator, that they worked themselves out because it was nothing but making excuses. And I don't know why. Obviously there's going to be, you're going to have great days where it's nothing but sales. Every person you call answers. Every person you get on the phone, they want to talk. They're lovely and nice and sweet. Sometimes you'll have that, but you have some days where they just hang up on you. You can't get a hold of anybody. They're not interested. Nobody wants to hear you. Nothing, right? You just hit a brick wall everywhere you go. And you have those days. You can't just say, look, that's just how it is. This job sucks. These leads suck. It's somebody else's fault. It's Frank's fault. You'll have those days, but you just have to know, look, if it goes on a whole day, okay, it is what it is. 2 days, okay, maybe. If it starts going 3, 4, 5, there's something going on. And you really have to take it upon yourself to say to your mentor, senior supervisor, somebody, you know what, something's going on. I need you to please take a look and let's evaluate. Let's nip it in the bud, and see what is going on here. Because I guarantee you, somebody who is just doing call avoidance, who is up and walking around, they will never do that, and they never do, and it never gets any better for them.
Well, you see this a lot because you look at the phone metrics and so we don't train to a metric. Like we don't sit there and go, you need to make 150 dials. No, it's backwards. People that do that and they set their goals by the amount of activity they do instead of the quality of activity they're conducting are just destined for failure and going bankrupt because they're just consuming resources, no development. But when I look at talk time, I look at engagement and I see what's going on. And I know that other people in the same room as you are doing better consistently. I go, okay, we have an issue. The problem that you encounter is this. Everyone has a different problem at different times. And sometimes you'll have the same problem multiple times over the years, right? If you're not getting into conversations, right? This is the key. I don't care what they call for. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you know. I don't care what your system's doing. Someone's on the phone, keep them on the phone. You'll find something out. Yesterday, I talked to a lady. She's not 65 yet. She's 4 months outside of even open enrollment window. So she has 7 months before we can get her onto anything inactive. She doesn't have it. Well, 20 minutes later, she doesn't have insurance right now. So I have to pivot, got her a final expense, and got her an indemnity policy. It would have never happened. And she actually started the conversation going, well, no one can help me. I've been told I can't be helped. That means agent after agent after agent said, oh, yeah, you're right, click.
It was too much work.
It wasn't any work. They didn't even engage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, if you have this many months, why don't we get you an indemnity policy and I'll set an appointment for February to we can get you on your supplement and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I really was trying to get Medicaid. How much do you make? $2,800 a month? You're not getting Medicaid. I'll tell you that right now. Way too much. 3 times more.
Mhm.
Or,
Almost.
yeah, 60-something% more.
Yeah.
But that comes from engagement. So what is the goal when someone rings in or when you pick up the phone to answer it? Do as much talking with them as possible. Don't run your mouth. Let them go. Don't try to rush to get the next call. Don't try to rush to get them to the right person. Keep them on the phone. That's it. Keep them on the phone. Figure out what they're doing. That's all you got to do. An opportunity will avail itself to you in that conversation. That's it. Got to give yourself enough time to make that next step. So everyone else keeps on going, what if they do this? It doesn't matter. Don't put people on hold. Don't mute them ever. Let them hear you work. Right?
Absolutely.
Let them hear you work. They can hear you answer a question. I intentionally hum and sing when I'm on the phone with people. I already. Oh, I'm sorry. I mumble when I read. They have to know that I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And this is in all facets of professionalism. When I was in mortgage lending, I was like, I took the exam. I'm like, how would anybody ever know all this stuff? I'm just like, I felt defeated. I'm like, gosh, I don't feel like a professional. The wisest words anybody ever told me is, you don't have to know the answer. You just have to know where to go to get the answer.
Right. In fact, that's in our training when we do the other advanced sales training. You're never going to know all of this, but you'll know where to find it. And that's the thing that person doesn't know. They don't know where to go.
And if somebody hangs up on you because of that, then guess what? They're going to call somebody else who's going to give them a quick BS answer that's incorrect.
Right. Right. I mean, it's the reason we make you guys memorize the script is not just script adherence. It's important to do as giving you a baseline in the future, yes. But really, it's allowing you guys to have time to actually look stuff up and then go back and process once you get through that answer. You know, that's...
And sometimes you have to go into just problem solving mode. You know, I talked to a gentleman back in April, called him. He was on the T65 list. He was flagged as somebody who was going to turn 65 soon. Called the guy. He's like, I'm not 65. I'm only 40. I could have said, oh, I'm sorry. You know, that was a mistake and ended it there. Well, I asked him, well, are you disabled by chance? He said, yeah, actually, for my whole life. I said, oh, are you, you know, are you receiving disability and Social Security? Yeah, actually. And I said, are you also on Medicare? He said, yeah. That's what it is. Because you're, I'm sorry, it's not because you were 65 is what flagged, you were flagged because you were on Medicare. Long story short, he didn't have a special enrollment period at the time. I said, you know what? I will call you back in October. And he says, you know what? I'll answer because you're the only one that's never just hung up in my face and told me there's no way I'm on Medicare because I'm too young. And what had happened, I called him first thing AEP. He answers that. I said, I absolutely remember you.
Right.
And that was a sale. He was ready. He was ready. And there you go.
People love people that do work for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you show you care.
Yeah, he
This is
just
what
wanted
your
somebody to
actions are.
try, but nobody would listen to him.
But I think that's the key component on it is just make sure that you guys do work and make sure they can see you do work. Don't hide the work that you're doing.
Mhm.
It's valuable work.
They appreciate it.
Right. And what are they going to care if you actually go, oh, let me ask this guy over here. They're going to go, oh, great. There's more than one person. This is actually a place where there's a lot of people you can go to.
And they feel special and they're, ooh, there's more than one person working on this for me.
Right.
You know?
And they should feel it because it is a lot of work. There's a lot of brains here between just Medicare experience. Just Medicare experience. We got Brad, 20. I don't know, probably about 40 years of experience sitting just in that office,
For sure.
let alone the overall experience in the company as a whole and all the experience that went into us. It's over 120 years when I tally it up. The people that trained us, that we trained, and everyone else, that's a lot. And we still don't know everything.
But when a tenured agent gives you some advice or you ask them, you know, how can I fix this or that? And they give you some advice, take it.
Right.
Take it. Now, don't take advice from somebody coming in who never learned it and you know what I'm talking about to try to tell you what to do.
I love that.
But right? You know, you
that.
can benefit from, that's why I have one mouth and two ears,
Yeah.
you know? And if you don't do what they recommend or you're like, didn't know what you're talking about, and you're still failing, well, somebody tried to help you.
I generally find it hilarious that people that come in and want to change the world and change the entire process that's been built up and constantly does change through evolution. They want to just go and start from scratch from day one. Those folks never, ever succeed.
Right.
Because they don't give themselves a baseline to jump from. Oh, no, I'm just going to change everything. This is not, I do it a different way. Well, you don't do it at all.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen it here. Yeah. We've
know.
seen it here in our own office, right? Where people can be like, oh, the way Medicare is done, y'all do, it's crazy how it just makes you say, well, I've been doing it a long, long time, you know.
Well, my
And,
paycheck says I did it right.
Yeah, right, exactly. If you could only see your paycheck, really. So
I have no
you know,
problem showing people my renewals.
you know you have. Yeah.
I have no problem showing them that.
The proof's in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, that's the whole goal. That's why everyone's here. Let's not
Mhm.
helping people's fine and everything, but we want to get paid a good living and be able to retire and enjoy our retirement on Medicare too.
Right.
Right.
You know, and that's also the reward for acting ethically and doing a good job
Mhm.
helping your people.
Mhm.
So I don't know, just answer the damn phone.
Exactly.
That's
Got it.
that's it. Or as one of the old guys in one of my old jobs said, "Shut up and talk to somebody."
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, that sounds.
That's like the version of hurry up and wait.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot more familiar.
Shut up and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's calling in right now. Well, you could be calling.
How How do you sell to when you're not doing anything? You're not talking to anybody. You can't sell it.
If you're not trying to get in front of a customer, all you're doing is selling yourself on the fact that it's okay to fail. That's it. I mean, you guys get to make your own determination and your own future here. If you're W-2 right now, understand that your goal is to move into the 1099 role and get that full commission, because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of freedom, and that's also a lot of responsibility. If you're already in the 1099 role, understand it's on you. It doesn't get any. We have worked out. You have a lot of sales experience. You have a lot of business and a lot of time and a lot of success in another industry. A lot of trauma from that other industry.
Oh, no kidding.
But to see, and you brought up so many very valid points, and then to be able to go through and go, well, I understand, and that's why we did this, and we'll never eliminate 100% of X, but we've taken the steps to try and mitigate as much as possible. That comes from actually a company that's driven by salespeople. So, as such, one of the things you'll find is that there's not a whole lot of sympathy to go around. We empathize with the struggles you went through. We went through them.
Sure.
But we don't brook excuses. We don't care. We got a lot of people to help. And you can lie to me all day. That's fine. Don't lie to yourself. If you're not trying your best to get in front of a client and help them out, you're finding other excuses, other things to do. If you're organizing your desk as that phone rings, hoping to God, like deep down inside, someone else picks it up before you, great. Someone else will use that opportunity, they'll sell. And because we work with really cool people, they won't just sit there and rub it in your face.
No, but if somebody's ever said to me, "Oh, I was thinking about picking up that call and it was a sale," I'm like, well, you sure should have.
There's an old movie called, I think it's called The Color of Money, and it's the sequel that happened like 30 years later of Cool Hand Luke. Not Cool Hand Luke. The Hustler.
The Hustler.
The Hustler, yeah. And this guy's playing in a tournament. He got some glasses to fix his eyes because he had the hell beat out of him in the last minute. He couldn't play pool anymore. But he got his glasses and he's just running the table on this guy. And this guy, every time he makes a bad shot or this other guy makes a good shot, he looks at him and goes, "I didn't deserve that." Finally, he's not saying a word to this guy the whole time. Whoops the hell out of him in all his sets. He goes, "I really didn't deserve that." He looks at him and goes, "Yeah, you did." And walks off. And that's what sales is. You get what you put into it, and you get what you deserve. And no one should sit there and say, "Hey, well, yeah, you're right." Because you know what? If they do that, what they're really doing is going, "I'm happy you failed because I'm going to let you justify it." It's the ones that really care about you go, "Well, yeah, you're getting what you did. We should work on how to get past that."
Yeah, and just the fact knowing, and if you keep in the back of your mind, there's somebody out there that wants me to fail. I'll be damned if I'm going to prove them right.
The world wants you to fail.
That's
Actually,
true.
the world doesn't care about you. It's an inanimate object.
Right. But there's some that want you to fail. That would take great pleasure
Oh,
in
absolutely.
failing.
There are
Yeah.
people.
Got a couple of exes that'll love to
Those
see
are
me fall.
horrible.
It ain't going to happen,
And by
honey.
the way, that is a horrible and toxic environment. That's a horrible and toxic person that actively wants people to fail, but they exist and they're miserable people. And by the way, there are people in the sales world all over the place. You'll see them. They glob onto the new people. They got a whole lot of time to talk to them and to help them out and stuff. Help them out. Really, what it is, I'm going to go and co-opt this, and make my production, my performance, my activity the new normal for the new person. So I have a buddy in misery, and I shot in Freud.
Yeah.
Misery loves company,
Right.
but success flies solo.
It's true. And this is the business to be in. It's tough. You have to have thick skin, but it's so worth it. Mike, how many cars did you sell that you don't get residuals on? You sold them and it's done, right?
Forever.
Can you imagine if you got residuals off all the cars you sold?
make me
Or
sick.
And
every
I-
lease.
He's gonna make me sick.
But you're here now, right? And I was at an agency before where I didn't know there was such a thing. I didn't know any better. And I think of all the residuals I could have been collecting, just taking a nap, collecting money, right? It makes me sick. But you know what? I've known better now, and from this point forward, I'll be collecting residuals on my stuff.
Well, and that's what really happens to a lot of really good agents, is that they'll get snagged up into that environment And then rather than saying, okay, let's correct it and get into an environment where I can take part in that long-term success, they just go, I got screwed, and they're out of the industry as a whole. And it's really sad to see, because there's a lot of good talented people that would still be here if they just gone, you know what, screw that. I can go ahead and start over and come to a place that'll, share that success.
I'm one of them. I said, you know what? I was so fed up with how that big giant agency was doing me that I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to figure out something else. And here I am and loving it.
When you said in the interview, residual income. What?
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking
Didn't
about?
even compute.
Yeah, I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. No.
Yeah. But, or you can do that and have residuals and bigger commissions and know that it was all because of you and your effort and your tough work and you making it through the tough times. Or you can go to an agency where they pay you hourly and, you can kind of hide behind that and you can kind of just do call avoidance and things like that and make a so-so living and, still be miserable.
Well, think about this, the concept of in a few years where you're making 5, 7, 10, 15,000 a month in renewals, right? You take a month off.
That's what you're going to do.
Do what you want. Maybe, I don't know. You guys keep on telling me to take time off, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll go.
We just want you to go away, Frank.
I know. So, but there's a freedom there to be able to do that and not have to worry about, well, I need to get back so I can make some more money.
Right. That's the real fear. You get paid salary or hourly. If you're not there, you're not making money.
I don't like the concept of salary because that means you're buying my time, and that pisses me off more than anything else. But at the same time, I also don't like the concept of my overall, my financial well-being is tied some way to appeasing whatever directive or whatever rule that you have there. I don't like it. That's why I don't do it anymore.
And what is that self-reflective question you asked is, when I die, will I want to die knowing that my life was only worth $15 an hour?
No. It's like, if I'm not a very religious person, but I do believe there is something out there, right? But when I go meet my maker, if I left that parking lot this afternoon and got T-boned by a semi, that whatever it is, could be a woman, could be a man, it could be a weevil or a golf club, comes up and says, all right, Frank, what'd you do with that last hour I gifted you? I don't want to look at them and go, sold it for $20. I don't want to do that, It's just my time is the most valuable thing I have. I'm not going to get any more of it. I'm not going to be able to know how much I have left at any given moment. It's a commodity that is just completely, and when it's done, it's done.
Limited resource.
Right.
That's why I wanted to find a job that I didn't have to work day in and day out, so I can have time to spend with my daughter.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so you can be a good example for your daughter that you're not just worth $15 an hour. Her mother is worth more than that.
And once you've hit capacity on the mentorship program, you've hit where you think you're doing good. Work Gurus Remote. Gurus Remote is an amazing program.
Well, I didn't know I had that option. But
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Get your license.
Okay.
Get your license.
Becky makes a lot of money from Florida.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that's the whole goal, guys, is that go work Gurus Remote. You have to get your license.
Right.
You have to be set up on that, and you got to go through, and we'll go and say, all right, you got a level of proficiency, you think you're going to make it. But that's the whole thing. I honestly wish when I started, well, yeah, if I wasn't in the position I'm in now, and we were working on these projects and Gurus Remote was available, I would have taken it in a second. I was at a different level. So, but I wouldn't have been able to take it without being here first and going through that, because I also know that I lack discipline, and doing that requires a lot of discipline.
And when you hear stories about like Brandon, when he first started, he was knocking on doors. He was cold calling people that just cursed him out. You know what? He would have loved to be at an agency where you just hit the button,
walking down driveways,
answering the
both
call.
ways.
Yeah,
I've done it.
it's
not
tough.
fun.
It's tough. If this is just such a perfect environment to get a head start. If you don't have your license yet, to be up and running and ready to go as soon as you get that that
It
license
is-
in hand.
It is the ultimate learning environment. And even, for example, every time I go, okay, guys, and we get away from doing this, which is the script drilling and how to retain the script fast. We get away from it and I go, okay, we got to get back to it. And every time I went to you guys, I'm like, you're going to do it this way. And you're like, oh, so stupid. And then literally the next day on the phone, you're like, oh, I'm getting more conversations. I'm like, I know.
Because you did what I told you to do.
And then you're going to do this. You're gonna do, why do I have to remember this? You said I really don't have to use it. I was like, you have to memorize it.
Yeah.
You have to, because memorizing it gives you flexibility to get off of it.
But then it makes it easier to kind of go into a conversation that's not about Medicare
Right.
and then revert back to what you were already talking
Mhm.
about.
Right. Or find something in the CRM or find something in Google.
Right.
Well, and if a very wealthy man who got wealthy doing what he's trying to teach you to do, you might want to listen to what he's saying, even if it doesn't quite make sense or it's hard or it's frustrating. You know,
Yes.
you might want to listen
I
and
don't have
Yeah,
a
'cause
college
even with,
degree.
do
him
what the rich
telling
do.
him telling me like, don't let people just hang up on you. Because at first they say something, I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're hanging up the phone. But I'm like, hold on, wait.
Yeah.
This is not a sales call, because that was something that I learned from Frank, and it does keep them on the phone a lot longer. I might not make a sale, but at least we started
And
talking.
they're not mad at you at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that too.
Right?
Yeah.
And someone will go, oh, I hear that all the time. I go, well, what did you want to do? They're like, oh, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you want
What
to
do you wanna
talk
talk
about.
Right?
Yeah.
It's you're the one that needs help. I know Medicare. What do you got? So that's the key. But I mean, it's just, this is a great career, guys. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't even have a college degree. Right? And the fact that I've been able to do what I've been able to do, and I'm not wealthy.
Cool.
I spend way too much money.
He said I would be, but I spend it.
Not a saver.
Helping the economy.
Neither is Bill Gates because he donates so much money.
Well,
And he's poor thing.
poor baby.
Yeah.
I wish I had that problem.
Really.
Or Mark Zuckerberg making worse Skyrim.
Oh God.
So I see you got Adrian laughing at that one. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know that. He's like, heard that. That's pretty bad. So the key is that this is one of the last bastions of a great equalizer economically, right? You don't have to be incredibly smart. You don't have to have a college degree. You just got to be able to work hard. All that matters is conscientiousness. That's it. You can have a horrible voice. You can have a horrible everything. And if you still work hard at it, you stick with it, you will eventually, because of math, be successful. Right? I mean, you've been on some of these conferences, you look around, they're like, oh, that guy's a millionaire. And you're like, that guy?
Yes.
They're like, yes, that guy.
He's an idiot.
That
Right?
went through my mind several times.
Yeah.
How?
It happens. Yeah, how?
Yeah.
How?
How did he tie his shoes and get in a car?
Can't.
Really.
Most of these people can't even dress themselves. Right? And
But
that's
they can
okay
sell.
because they're damn good at what they do because they worked at it. You don't have to be, and this is the biggest problem in the world. I don't have any advice for anything outside of really Medicare or sales. I'm good at those two things. Everything else in the world, I'm horrible at. Too many people try to give advice on everything just because they're good at one thing, right? Like celebrities and musicians. I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't know what you're talking about.
They know
Yeah.
that they're environmental
make it-
scientists.
You can strum a great chord, you can make a good beat, you have a great voice. That does not make you an expert on geopolitical politics. So I just find that, but that's the thing, is that you guys are in the perfect environment for that. And people that are watching, all 5 of them, should know that the things that we're putting out there are going to give people access to that so that you can better service your clients. But you have to work at it. No amount of training, no amount of advice, no amount of coaching is going to get you there. And quite frankly, when you see more people come in and you're like, well, you're not getting that much coaching because they haven't put in the effort. You guys don't get coaching until you learn the script. Why am I going to spend the time doing that? You can't even understand what I'm telling you because you haven't retained the information.
Mhm.
So Anyway, I think we were supposed to go 30
Yeah.
minutes, almost 50.
Yeah, I knew that wasn't going to happen with
No.
you here. That's okay. I'll tell you one last thing and we'll wrap this up, which is no, you can't go anywhere, any agency, even outside of insurance, and have tenured agents as experienced as they are, give you access to them, right? Nowhere are you going to find a Frank who's been doing what he does, is making as much money as he does, and as successful as he is, and has the knowledge that he has, making himself available to people who are just getting in this. Most people like him are just like looking down their nose at you that you're a nobody, and they're like, I ain't going to help you, but you have access to him and to me and to Brad and others, that are happy to help. And one common thing we will tell you is answer that damn phone, right? So answer the damn phone. That's,
The phone, don't even come to work.
right.
Yeah, at first I didn't even know we were supposed to answer the phone. For some reason, I thought that, I don't know, Chris and
No,
Brad were the ones.
by the
answering
time it rings
phone.
to you, by the time you hear it on the board, they've already missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a cascade. So it rings to them 4 times and then it's to all of us. And you got to answer it right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Now you know.
Yeah.
Now you know better, you do better.
That's why you got to keep
Yeah.
that headset on.
Yeah, absolutely. Be ready. Always be
Because
ready.
when you do this, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I can't even hear with mine on. I'd be like, huh? What'd you say?
That's okay. Stay in the zone.
Do we need to take off the noise canceling on there, the ambient noise canceling?
Maybe. I don't
We'll work on those details later. But
Okay.
okay, so that's been it for today's dojo. I'm Victoria Lewis, and say hi to your mom for me.